Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another Top 10. This time I'm going to be talking about what we want from the new Stargate series. Amazon just purchased MGM for $8 billion. That's a lot of money. One of the biggest properties of Stargate. It's almost assured that we're going to get Stargate something. But what is it going to be? Is it going to be a complete reboot? Is it going to be a continuation, Brad Wright's SG-4? Is it going to be going back to the original guys from the movie and letting them do their 2 sequels they planned? Lots of different things that they could go. But here's my list of top 10 things I want to see. And you'll quickly understand which direction I want them to go. Number 10, actors from other sci-fi. Stargate is notorious for having... They've got like 25 different Star Trek actors. They got a bunch of Farscape actors. They've got some Andromeda actors. They've got a lot of actors from other sci-fi. But there's been a lot of sci-fi since that happened. So what about Doctor Who? The new Who that's come out, ripe with characters that could appear in Stargate. We have Firefly. Everybody would love Nathan Fillion to be part of the Stargate universe. Everybody wants Nathan Fillion to be part of everything. Such a fun actor. What about Battlestar Galactica in Star Wars? Katie Sackhoff. You know, she's got so much nerd cred already. Let's make it keep going. Let's put her in Stargate. So those are the kind of things I want. That's my number 10. Number 9, a new bad guy. They kind of wrapped up all the bad guys we had. So if we're gonna do a Gould, then do a Gould that inhabits another species that makes him extremely formidable. You know, maybe Gould Asgard. If the other thing they could do is they could go to another galaxy, meet a new enemy, that kind of thing. Kind of like they did with Atlantis. Number 8, Stargate alumni guest appearances. I want to see Shepard. I want to see McKay. I want to see Jack and Sam and Dr. Jackson, of course. Jonas Quinn. I want to see, you know, all these characters. I want to see Woolsey back. These are characters I definitely want to see. Actors I definitely want to see come back to Stargate. Of course, I don't want them to overshadow, but guest appearances, most definitely. Which brings me to my number 7. Samantha Carter. Either make her the general in charge of the SGC, or we kind of left off, she was being made commander of a starship, but we never got to see that. It would be cool if, when everything seems lost, Samantha Carter comes in with her ship and does that, but it would also be cool to see her. I think out of all the actors, she has stayed in the industry of sci-fi. She's more a writer-director, but she really definitely shows interest in Stargate, so I would love her to be kind of a regular fixture like that. Number 6, Furlings. I want Furlings. Let's see what Furlings on. Ever since we had the Torment of Tantalus, where we heard about the 5 races, the 5 great races, or I should say the 4 great races, and then we had the 5th race, where humans were going to become the 5th race, we've seen a ton about the Asgard. We've seen a ton about the Ancients. We got to meet the Nox, and the Furlings, we've had a couple of times when they were referenced. What are the Furlings? It's this huge unresolved thing right there from the beginning of SG-1, and with the other 3 races so explored, I want to see that. I also want to see more of the Nox, but I want to see that, and that'll come up later. But 5, classic races return. I want to see the Asgard return. We saw kind of that like bad group of Asgard at the end of Atlantis, and they had plans for the next season of Atlantis to do things with them. Bring them back, do things with them, or use them to bring the Asgard as a whole back. Love that race. Replicators. Replicators is kind of one of those things that I think every time you think you've completely wiped them out, there should be a way that they come back somehow. Maybe bring back the more base replicators and not the human replicators, to make them less OP that we have. I want to see the Ancients come back. I want to see the Nox. I want the new villain to be something I wanted to see done with the Ori, is I wanted to see the Ori versus the Nox. I wanted to see, we kind of got to see this with the Tolan, but when it happened, it was over in one episode. But taking one of these species that is like completely pacifist, non-violent, and then putting a villain that can wipe them out. I would have loved if a Tolan would have joined SG-1 and gone on their missions and given them some technology or help. I would have loved to see, one or two of them become part of the Tok'ra Underground or something like that. Continue on, but have to adapt to that change. The Nox, they call us little children. They're beyond war, all that. The Ori were powerful enough to take them on. Would have loved to see a Nox join the team and use their abilities to kick some butt. It would be interesting, especially if maybe they make it one of the younger Nox that maybe is rebelling against their people who are going to stay pacifist and just be wiped out. Would be an interesting dynamic. Want to see that. Of course, it's not Stargate without the Goa'ulds, so you need to see some Goa'ulds in there, whether they're major players or not. They're always going to be a part of Stargate. Number 4, what happened to Atlantis and Destiny? Both of these shows were cut early. Stargate SG-1, we got, even though the Ori arc was cut early, we got movies that completely wrapped up those franchises, got rid of all the bad guys kind of thing. But Atlantis came to Earth to help defend Earth, but they've left the Pegasus galaxy full of Wraith. That problem never resolved. What happened to everybody? Then we have Destiny. Those people are trapped on that ship. Wasn't my favorite show, but I want to know what happened. I want to know what the purpose and plot was of that show, because we never got to know. The show got canceled. Next, my number 3, high budget. We don't work with TV budget anymore. We're on streaming budget. You're looking at what Star Wars is doing with The Mandalorian, what Marvel is doing with WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that kind of stuff. We're looking at what Netflix has done with some of the Marvel shows, Stranger Things, all these different shows, Game of Thrones, different things, really high budget production value. And that's something I would love to see Stargate get. I know that would mean probably less episodes a year, but I think if we've waited this long to get these bursts of really great content, would be amazing. My number 2, I want Brad Wright. Put Brad Wright in charge of it, because I want it to be in canon with everything else, but I also want it to respect everything that came before. I don't want it to be divisive among the fans about how it's ruining Brad Wright's vision or any of that. And Brad Wright tells a good story. He tells an inclusive story. He tells a good feminist story, and he does it without offending the fans. I think he is really good at putting all those things in, but not being overly preachy about it, and that's why I think you should put Brad Wright in charge of this new series. Number 1, I want there to be Stargate. Really, all these things I'm saying, at the end of the day, if it's got that circle thing with a puddle that takes you to other planets, I'm gonna watch it. That's what I want. Now, for my secret number 11, I want comedy and pop culture references. One of the beautiful things about Stargate is it takes place in the modern day. It's a sci-fi that takes place in the modern day, so you can reference TV shows. You can do all that kind of stuff. I loved it when they referenced Star Trek or something, when he wanted to name their ship, when Jack O'Neill wanted to name it the Enterprise, and he was told no. I love stuff like that. When McKay called Shepard Kirk, because he was falling in love with an alien on every planet. I love that kind of stuff. I want more of it. It's not over-the-top comedy, but it's the type of comedy that I think really shined about Stargate. It was able to have those funny moments without being slapstick funny, and it didn't feel out of place like it does in Star Wars, because you expect these pop cultures. I would liken it to Marvel. In Marvel, when Spider-Man says, "You know about that old movie with the walkers?" That works because of how old Spider-Man is and in what year that movie is taking place. Same with Stargate. When they make references to Lucy, Star Trek, all these different things, Back to the Future, different things that they make references to, it's funny, it's enjoyable, and it's a nice nerd crossover. So that's my list of what I want in a new Stargate series. What do you want to see? Let me know down in the comments below, and have a good day.